An overcast day here in mid-Michigan. We get set for field hockey, though, with Michigan State and Iowa. The Hawkeyes and Spartans just about set to square off this afternoon here in East Lansing. Let's get into our starting lineup right now with the visitors, the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Number 6, Lissa Munley, goalkeeper.
17, Lauren Pfeiffer, defense.
Number 2, Roz Ellis, defense.
Number 25, Leslie Pyle, defense.
Number 15, Meg Beamer-Surfer, defense.
Number 20, Caroline Blom, midfield.
21, Trisha Dean, midfield.
Number 13, Jess Swirley, midfield.
Number 5, Caitlin McCurdy, forward.
Number 7, Katie Naughton, forward.
Number 22, Sarah Bergine, forward.
And there's head coach for the Iowa Hawkeyes, Tracy Grisbaum, in her 9th year, and a lot of success for that program under her guidance. Now let's do our starters for the home team, the Michigan State Spartans.
Number 1, Alyssa Unger, goalkeeper.
Javelle van Eerdan, number 11, center back.
Number 18, Holly Sherman, center back.
Number 21, Angie Lusick, defense.
Number 2, Geraldine Reina, defense.
Number 17, Angela Pagura, midfield.
My name's Jamie Deacon, number 22, and I'm a midfielder.
Number 8, Amanda Huck, midfield.
Shantae Miller, number 23, forward.
Number 14, Flor Reitma, forward.
Gwen Riley, number 3, forward.
Well, Rolf van de Kerkhoff in his 3rd year as the head coach for Michigan State, but a long-time assistant here at MSU. And they have had a lot of success while he's been part of this program. And Kara, both of these teams hoping that they can keep momentum going towards the rest of the regular season. Michigan State has been not so hot lately, but both teams kind of trying to find their late season rhythm.
Absolutely, and as we said earlier, every game from now on out is a must-win situation. And Michigan State had 2 losses there last weekend and the weekend before, and they finally broke that losing streak with a win in overtime over Iowa. And that just goes to show that in an overtime situation, they really have to pull through, and they did. And hopefully they'll get their feet back under them before Big Ten tournament comes in the next few weeks. Michigan State,
Rolf talking to us earlier this week, he said, that he thought his Spartan team came out a little bit flat against Michigan. Certainly that was disappointing for him and his team after they lose that game 1-0. Iowa, though, maybe with that 2-2 record overall in the Big Ten, their margin for error is even less. Michigan State at 3-1. So again, you have obstacles for both teams besides just what they do against each other today.
Absolutely, and Michigan is also playing Penn State tomorrow, and that's also a large determinant of who's going to win the Big Ten Conference title this year.
So the pregame speeches are all done. Michigan State will attack the north goal here in East Lansing on the turf here. And the weather conditions, we told you that, of course, late October, you don't expect warm temperatures and sunny skies. That's the case today as Michigan State and Iowa with temperatures reasonably decent. Here's your team colors there. Of course, Iowa in the road black, Michigan State in the home white. Again, here at Ralph Young Field, just about 50 degrees and a chance of showers, although we had a very little bit of sprinkles. It doesn't look like it's going to rain very hard in East Lansing today. There's the back pass to start this game. Iowa takes control, and we are underway. Side in there for Iowa on the far side. Kara, what do you think the Hawkeyes want to do early to maybe establish some tempo?
Well, they definitely want to establish it early on. Iowa's a team that certainly is outscoring their opponents in the first half, and they start that tempo off early, but they need to play 70 minutes of field hockey. And Michigan State, likewise, they are a strong team in the second half, and that's definitely been one of their goals, to play 70 minutes of hockey as well.
And Michigan State emphasizing a better ball possession this week in practice. Rolf thought that in the game against Michigan, he thought those Spartans got away from the team aspect, a little too much individual work. And here's a chance for Iowa on that side in from the far side.
And Michigan State really wants to tackle Iowa outside the circle. Like you see, they set up the wall outside the circle. They don't want any fouls occurring inside the circle because that's going to result in a corner, which is always a threat coming from Iowa. Hawkeyes working patiently to work towards the goal. That shot goes wide. Alyssa Unger is in goal for Michigan State. And you can see Rolf there. And there's Unger with 16 games and 2 shutouts on the season, a 13-3 record for her as the ball skips all the way through the end line there. And Alyssa's really been stepping up this year. She's second in the Big Ten in save percentage with .750. Hawkeyes start from just outside the circle and send it up the near side here. Nice take there by Katie Naughton.
Ball still in there. Now Michigan State comes on it. Pagura pestered there by a couple of defenders. Michigan State gets a chance to reset their offense. Here's your officials for today's game. Michigan State controlling that ball. Now it comes in the middle. Hawkeyes take it away. Spartans applying a little bit of pressure in the back. That clearing pass is taken on the far side for the Spartans. And they take it up the wing. See if they can turn it on the corner there. Whack towards center. And the Hawkeyes come away with it there and clear it out of the circle. The first few minutes of any game always are about just kind of getting a feel for the other team, the other personnel, and tempo, right?
Getting the feel, and on a day like today, Dan, I think it's also warming up. I mean, it's 50 degrees, but the wind.
Good chance there as Michigan State came hard to the net. That was Miller who came in right up the gut, and Lisa Munley had to step out and make that save.
Like I said, there's other factors here today, and it's, you know, as the season goes on, one of the great things about playing field hockey is we have these factors that you have to deal with, such as temperature.
Here's where Michigan State got dangerous. Always dangerous when you pass the ball in front of your net. Hawkeyes almost paid the price there. Miller was very quick to move on it. But Iowa dodges that one. Let's see if Michigan State keeps the pressure on. They do. They keep that ball in. Send it up the near wing here. There's Pagura again. Pagura gets taken. Let's see what sets up here now for Iowa.
Great defense on the side by Iowa. Iowa's known to have really strong low block tackles in this conference, as is Michigan State, because I think that's a lot of international player experience bringing in that strong defensive stick. But Michigan State was trying to penetrate into the 25 coming from the sideline, which we saw last week with Michigan doing against Michigan State. So both of these teams have strong center players, center back, center mid, center forward, and things of that nature. So I think an objective on both teams is to try to penetrate into the 25 coming around to the circle. And that all depends on the pace of the ball. Michigan State did a really good job of passing back, moving into the outside, and getting into the 25. And as we saw, Miller had a chance there. She's got a nose for the net.
Beamsdorfer's pass went out. And Michigan State a chance to move it up that far wing. Instead, the ball is tapped out. Hawkeyes take over on that side in. That in pass, though, intercepted. And Michigan State continues to handle the ball a little bit more effectively than Iowa has so far in this field hockey game.
They definitely have had possession the first few minutes of this half, and that's really important to how they're going to come out today, whether it's going to be on top. And once Michigan State gets rolling or Iowa gets rolling, it's really hard to stop momentum.
Head-to-head matchups between Michigan State and Iowa. As we take a look at how the Hawkeyes and Spartans do when they go head-to-head, a huge advantage there for Iowa. But Iowa with the biggest win of their season last year, knocking Michigan State out of the Big Ten tournament.
It was quite an exciting tournament last year, and we saw some really good field hockey here in the Big Ten Network. We're lucky to get into the championship game this year.
See if both of these teams can make some hay once the tournament comes along. That's Holly Sherman carrying the ball in for Michigan State.
And Rolf always talks about their success inside the 25 and make something happen. It's a free ticket. That's what he's always said. This is a great execution by Michigan State on their part, getting it in, keeping the ball on the stick, and getting the corner.
Good effort by Holly Sherman, and now the first and best chance really for Michigan State is they will go on the attack. There's a tap and a short pass and a hard shot right in the middle, covered up by Iowa. Good play there right in front of the goal. Michigan State a good chance, but right at the goalie, and fortunately for Iowa, a defender right in front to make the big stop.
If you notice, we have a lot of key players up here at the top of the circle. Jamie Deacon gets the shot off, but Geraldine Rayner is also up there at the top. So is Flora Reitma. So there's a lot of good strikers at the top of the circle. That's going to be a threat for Iowa's defense.
Reitma loses that ball there, and Michigan State again with a chance to, with another dangerous scoring opportunity. There's a hard drive, ball skipping through the crease, but remember in FH 101, a shot that doesn't get touched once it's in the circle is not going to count as a goal. So Good defense there by Iowa anyway, and let's see if the Hawkeyes can take a little pressure off their defense. That's the problem, I guess, Kara, as being a former defender. Very hard to keep playing and playing hard when the ball is constantly in your own circle.
Absolutely, and when they get it outside the 25, they really need their midfield and their forwards to chip in and come back for the ball. Get it out of that defensive 25 because you don't want to exhaust your defense too early in the game.
When Riley trying to take that ball back away, but instead Trisha Dean has it there for Iowa. Hawkeyes advance. Now here's a chance for the Hawkeyes. They put some pressure on. Hard drive there, and there's their first goal of the game for the Hawkeyes.
And I've always said this about Iowa's team. First of all, Caroline Blum's leadership, especially on the forward line inside the circle, has been exceptional this year. But the pace and the cohesion that they have from their defensive to midfield, the forward lines, is so much better than other teams that I've seen in the conference. See how quickly they get it past the midfield into the 25. Caroline does a great job of getting the ball in front of her. She's moving with the ball at speed and fires a shot as soon as she gets into the circle.
Blom getting her 8th goal of the year. And a big-time goal to get Iowa on the board here early at Michigan State. So all that ball control by the Spartans, well, doesn't add to a goal, and Iowa taking advantage of their best shot.
They're going to have to take advantage of any opportunity that they have. And what we see here today is also Michigan State and Iowa lead the Big Ten in several different scoring categories, including scoring average, margin, shots per game, shots, goals scored, and goals per game. So what we're going to see today, it might be a shootout. I think there's going to be a lot of play in the midfield as well. But it's definitely the highest caliber that the conference has to offer in the scoring category.
The Hawkeyes coming out hard again as they come towards net. And ball is there for Iowa, but let's take a look at some of Iowa first half numbers. The Hawkeyes with a dominant effort, and this includes today's goal. So the Hawkeyes are pretty well known for their fast starts in the Big Ten, and certainly when you can do it on the road, where it's tougher to play, it's that much better.
They're outscoring their opponents by almost 4 times in the first half. The only thing is that you see those stats kind of dwindle in the second half, which is why I said earlier they need to play 70 minutes of hockey. They have the opportunities.
Hawkeyes are in attack mode right now as they set and move that ball in. Hard drive and just wide as Alyssa Unger went down on it, but the shot was dangerous, but a little bit wide by Trisha Dean.
Also because the shot is lifted, there is a certain parameter that you can lift the ball in, and it's basically as high as the boards are in the back of the net. There is that leeway that you have, but if the ball's lifted above that on an initial shot, it's coming out.
So there's got to be some touch on the shot as well as the ball comes back into the Iowa zone. Let's see if Michigan State can regroup a little bit. Very disappointing, certainly, when you've controlled the ball and tempo and everything for the first few minutes, but you're still down 1-0. Spartans back at it here with that ball in the Iowa zone. Pagura. Now good stick handling there by Reitma, but the ball's taken away from her, and Iowa will send it towards midfield here.
And Iowa does a really good job on their defensive end by setting up the transfer. And when I mean the transfer is from the defender back to a back defender and to the other side. You're trying to switch fields. So I think Iowa is definitely going to try to get that going so that they can move Michigan State's defense.
Good pressure by Michigan State. They continue to work, and now they take it away. They intend that pass for Reitma, but Hawkeyes step in front of it. That's Trisha Dean trying to clear it out. Another takeaway by Michigan State, but the Hawkeyes will have the ball towards midfield.
Trisha Dean did a great job of keeping the ball on her stick and working the ball. Here's what I'm talking about in Iowa's defensive transfer. As you see here, Michigan State's defense is now having to switch fields. They're looking to get it to their strong side, their right side, and execute up their right side.
On that far side with her, that's Beamisdorfer, who's got it in some space. Now centers it toward midfield. Michigan State, a chance to get on it. Good opportunity for Michigan State. Hard drive there by Gwen Riley, but taken away by Iowa.
The pace at which Michigan State's setting up their free hits, I think, is also really crucial to their success today. And they've been doing a good job of it so far, but as soon as you get that call, you want to get the ball into play as quickly as possible in most situations to catch the defense on a win.
Our drive to midfield, Michigan State intended for Reitma. Hawkeyes have it. No pressure on the ball. Ball skips out, and it'll be side in for Michigan State.
That was a good idea by Iowa's defense.
Ball comes in for Michigan State. Spartans with not much support. Now a chance, but ball skips off the stick of Amanda Huck. Tracy Grisbaum, talking to her earlier this week. Talked about not looking back at the losses that they've already had. Again, 2-2 in the conference. And again, Ohio State was one of those losses. And she says, hey, put that stuff in the rearview mirror. Focus on what's in front of you. And right now for Iowa, it's about getting this road win at Michigan State.
Every game is absolutely crucial, and there are 4 teams contending for the conference title. And what happens today, it's an either difference. If Michigan State wins, Iowa goes to 2-3 in the conference, and that's a losing record. That completely takes them out of the conference title run. Michigan State already has 1 loss, so they have another. They're on the same page as as Iowa with 2 losses. And at that point, it's only Michigan and Penn State who are playing tomorrow. So there's a lot pending in these last few weekends of the season that's going to show who's going to get the conference title or not. And Penn State's in the best situation as of now, but like I said early this season, I don't see one team really going undefeated. However, Penn State is known to surprise people in the past.
So still a lot to be decided here in the Big Ten race. So Michigan State, let's see what the Spartans can set up here. And it'll be a side in on the far side for, actually the Michigan State will drive it in from there. No touch in the circle. And here's our field hockey standings right now with, again, Michigan State and Iowa kind of hoping that they can keep moving up towards Penn State, but someone's going to take a setback today. Here's Michigan State setting up as they will go on the attack here. Caroline Blom, the senior, the first goal for Iowa. Soft pass in, directed wide of the net. So a little bit of a soft touch there put on by Michigan State by Reitma.
Well, what Reitma's looking for is a tip coming, Jamie Deacon hitting from the top of the circle, looking for a tip coming from Flo Reitma off the left side. And we explained corner execution last week in the Michigan State game, and that's exactly an example of it. You look for the tippers off the left and right side. I mean, these teams recruit the other's corner defenses all week, all season, so the tendencies are the formation that they come out in. So corners are designed purposely against another team's defensive formation inside that circle.
So Iowa with the fewer goal-scoring opportunities, but obviously when you have a good chance, like the one Caroline Blom had, and you cash in, that's a huge bonus. And Michigan State's still playing a little bit from behind. Here's Michigan State's the keys to success for today, Kara, inside the 25. They've got to start executing that maybe a little bit better.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're having the opportunities as they usually do, but the more corner reps that they have, the more opportunities they're going to have to score. And that's definitely a key for Iowa to limit those possibilities. But they're doing a really great job now with their ball possession and keeping that ball possession. And once they get it inside their 25, to keep it in there. Right now, their defense is rather uncontested besides the goal that we saw come from Caroline. So that definitely speaks to their stature and their maturity of the ball at this point.
Big drive deep is taken away by Iowa. Let's see if the Spartans put on some pressure deep. A little bit of pressure, but Iowa's able to find space and advance it forward. Spartans take it away at midfield though. Side in coming for Michigan State. Hard drive up ahead, intended for Reitma. Now she'll move through traffic and advance it. Looking for someone down on the near wing. Spartans couldn't get a stick on it though. That was Shantae Miller. Again, Miller so impressive so far for Michigan State. 11 goals on the year and 9 assists. You just don't count on that from a freshman. 31 points on the season.
She's certainly added to Michigan State's success this year with their goals and their scoring opportunities. And it's really not very common to see freshmen come in and impact a program like that. But Steinmetz last year was a Big Ten freshman of the year. So, Michigan State, I guess, is known for bringing in these freshman girls, really cultivating the field hockey game, proving it in the season.
Iowa with control. They're deep in their own zone. Spartans putting a little pressure on the ball. And the Hawkeyes lose it outside, and it's side in for Michigan State. Drive towards the net, intended for Gwen Riley, but she couldn't get near it. The ball skips out through the end line.
Geraldine Rayner does a really good job of trying to thread that needle and finding the big balls and the big passes coming from the midfield and out of the backfield up into their forward line.
Substitution for Michigan State. Michelle Siliberti comes on in for the Spartans. Ball goes way ahead. Spartans cover it, but Pressure on the ball immediately from Iowa. With 1v1 battle on that far side. Hawkeyes turn it and advance towards the net. Now the Spartans take it just outside the circle. And a little bit of space to work in. Now the Spartans open it up and bring it near side here. MSU with Angie Lusick, the sophomore. Up ahead now is the Spartans. Bring it past midfield. Lusick and Angela Pagura were the ones who had control of it there, but this is Iowa's opportunity to take control.
That's exactly what Iowa needs to do. They need to get the ball in possession, and that is a great defensive transfer that they just executed. What a great ball up the sideline. That's exactly what Iowa was trying to do in the first few minutes, and now that they have it in their offensive 25, this is important for them to keep it where they are right now. The forwards need to be aggressive here. You see them kind of staying back a little bit until the ball goes to the side, then they're probably going to add a little bit more pressure.
Lusick tried to advance it. Good pressure by Iowa. The Hawkeyes continue to frustrate Michigan State. Spartans can't clear it. Now the Hawkeyes will set up here with Trisha Dean. Firing it in the circle. One Spartan steps in front of it, and it trickles out. And Geraldine Rayner, the senior, was the one who kept the ball from going deeper in the circle. But here comes a corner chance for Iowa.
Great speed and pace at which they took that free hit, looking for options inside the circle. As we saw with the FH 101 in the beginning, you always look for that tipper, that deflection inside the circle, just to get a little touch on the ball, to get on the goalie's pads, you know, and hopefully a goal.
Michigan State getting set. You can see the Iowa Hawkeyes. They get in that huddle at the top of the circle before these corners. What do they talk about, Kara?
Well, they're set plays, and they're set plays that the coach gives you to determine which corner you're going to call. So they're deciding that.
And they put it in, hard drive towards the goal. Ball loose, knocked in, tapped in for Iowa. The Hawkeyes score again.
Excellent corner execution from Iowa. I mean, they've only had one, and they've scored on it, so they're batting 100% right now.
That's Roz Ellis is the one who gets that rebound opportunity. And Alyssa Unger is, again, you see that one gets under her arm there. She goes down on the ground. That's a dangerous position for a goalie. More coming up here at Michigan State. The Hawkeyes lead the Spartans in field hockey 2-0. More after this. The Hawkeyes with the strong start here in the first half against Michigan State. The 2-0 lead. Roz Ellis scoring the second goal for Iowa just recently. Vanda Kirchhoff telling us earlier this week it is time for Michigan State to let it all hang out this weekend. And again, they are still smarting a bit, maybe from that loss to Michigan. And again, emptying the bucket is the objective. And what they need to do is empty some shots into the back of that Iowa goal about now.
And Iowa's in the same situation. They had a really tough loss last week into Ohio State, who wasn't even ranked at the time. Now they got bumped into 19th in the national polls. But Ohio State's the type of team that can ruin anybody's season at any time if you let that. But Iowa's in the same situation. They have a lot to prove. I mean, they were as high as 4th ranked this year, you know, and they just need to play field hockey to show why they deserve to be in the top 10. And they've been ranked in the top 20 since 2006, and they haven't been bumped out of the top 10 since last season. So this team definitely has a lot to prove coming off of that loss.
Side in for Iowa. Hawkeyes are dangerous in the circle again. Spartans jump on it to try and clear it. That's Angie Lusick, who takes pressure off of Michigan State. But well, this game is certainly turned around, obviously, with the 2 goals. You can see Lusick had to certainly get that ball out of harm's way. But Michigan State controlling the tempo for the first few minutes with some good scoring chances. But Iowa has certainly turned the tables now. Hawkeyes will play it in from just outside the circle. Ball comes in. Michigan State knocks it out. Spartans bring it out in towards midfield. And they carry it up that far side. Steinmetz is the one with her stick on that ball. Now it comes a little closer towards midfield, and now Spartans advance it up the near wing here for Angela Pagura.
And Michigan State has a tough stretch of games in front of them. They have Iowa today, and then they have Michigan next week and Ohio State. And like I said, Ohio State, you know, excuse me, they have Iowa today and Penn State next weekend. So it's definitely important for them to really get their feet under them as they approach the rest of the season. And Rolf also said, like, they only have one game this weekend. You know, that's a lot of mental, that's a lot of physical preparation for one game this weekend, one game next weekend. You know, so at this point in the season, they're really trying to taper down before they come tournament where they're playing back-to-back games in the NCAA and the Big Ten tournament.
Drive up the wing for Michigan State. Spartans have not had many chances to score in the last few minutes, and you can see on the scoreboard they're going to have to find some if they're going to make this game a little bit more interesting. Iowa comes charging hard up that far side. There's the Hawkeyes setting up now on that far side of the field. Lauren Pfeiffer, the senior, with 12 goals on the season. She's been maybe their best player so far. You can see her drag it in and drive it sky high over the net, so plenty of heat off of her stick.
Lauren Pfeiffer had an outstanding season last year. She led her team in points and goals, and she was really the go-to person. A lot of that came off of their corner execution. This year, we're seeing a different Iowa team. There's a different number of girls scoring on the team, a lot more people contributing. And, you know, Pfeiffer is still playing outstanding, don't get me wrong there, but a lot more players are contributing to that effort this year. And I think that has been a huge asset to their team, you know, is the fact that so many people are contributing on the forward and the midfield line. Trisha Dean, who's taking the free hit right now. Teresa said she's the verbal commander in general of the team, which is an asset to every team, really. I talked too much when I played. My dad called me Mouth, actually.
Well, we're glad you're talking a lot now. We need your insights on this game between Michigan State and Iowa as the ball skips through the end line. Again, the goal scorers for Iowa, Caroline Blom and Roz Ellis, the two seniors, have staked Iowa to a 2-0 lead here. Hawkeyes are dangerous again, but the Spartans take it out of the circle. And for MSU, that's Scylla Birdie, who cleared it. Angie Lusick is the one who tried to drive it upfield, and now it's Iowa coming back the other way. So it's even more disheartening for Michigan State. Not only the score, Kara, they're down 2-0, but Iowa is continuing to generate pressure towards that Michigan State goal.
And, you know, like we said earlier, Michigan State's a second half team, or they have been playing as though. But it's really important that they generate something before we go into halftime. I think that halftime, that was a television halftime earlier, definitely helped their situation. But, you know, Iowa has come back. It's keeping the ball inside the 25, keeping possession of it. But Michigan State needs to have something as a result of their offensive 25.
Side in for Michigan State. Spartans try to take it the other way, and a long pass that's almost taken away. Here's our flash back for the Hawkeyes. This is the game at Penn State. Again, the Nittany Lions prevailing in that one, but there's the goal you saw from Roz Ellis, the only score of the afternoon for Iowa in that game. And she's already got a goal here today for the Hawkeyes on the road.
And that was an upset. I mean, Iowa was in the top 10. I believe they were 4th or 5th, somewhere in the top 5 at the time. And it was a big upset for Penn State, who was ranked below the top 10 at the time, to get that win. And it was crucial how Iowa responded after that game. You know, it's always a struggle. You're going to have adversity as you go throughout the season. You may start the season out well. I mean, Iowa beat defending national champion UNC first weekend of the season. So you're going to have the ups and downs. But it's important that these teams figure out what they need to really tone as they enter the Big Ten tournament.
So again, the Spartans looking for a late spark here as we move towards the final 10 minutes of this first half here. There was some Spartan spark early, but Iowa has taken their thunder away with the 2 goals that have gone unanswered. Let's see if Michigan State can move the forwards into position. Chance to advance that ball in the circle, but Iowa is going to bring it back the other way. Big Ten Tonight is your ultimate source for all things Big Ten. The nightly show for highlights, analysis of all of today's Big Ten action, interviews, and so much more. Big Ten Tonight, 10:30 Eastern, 9:30 Central, only on the Big Ten Network.
In that play that just happened, Jamie Deacon is really a playmaker in the center of the field for Michigan State. She can play make, she can do the little small dribble in small space, or she can find the big hit, the big pass upfield, which is exactly what happened. And Shantae Miller was left unattended inside the circle right in front of Lissa Munley. Want to prevent those chances if you're Iowa, but Jamie Deacon has just such great vision in the passing game, and whether that's coming from a big hit or a little push pass, she's really able to find her players and her teammates.
You know, stick handling at this level, Kara, is that something that players work on consistently in practice, or do they do that sporadically?
It's something that you always work on. It depends on the player. The thing with Jamie is that she's from Ireland, so she brings a certain type of international field hockey game to the U.S., as do most girls on Michigan State, and Rolf spoke to this. And it's kind of like American football players going over Europe to play football over there. You bring the countries or the world's best athletes to try and improve the game, which is certainly what a lot of the Dutch players have done here. And as you see there with Floor Reitma, great personal possession over the ball. American-style field hockey is a little more physical.
Just a bit. Sign in for Michigan State. Spartans have that ball at midfield. Down 2-0 on a game that is so important for both of these teams. Good kick save there by Lissa Munley, the senior with 5 shutouts this year. And she would love to get number 6 today here at Michigan State. There's Reitma. Spartans will have a good chance to set up an offensive thrust here. They drive it in the circle, but the Hawkeyes get a stick on it to clear it out. Talked about Michigan State and their struggle in that game against Michigan with Rolf van de Kerkhoff. He said, you know what, we really kind of focus more on ourselves, not so much the opponent. And he hopes that there's something to be learned from that loss to Michigan. He hopes that whatever they learn leads to some goals right now, with Iowa leading 2-0 in this game.
Well, Jamie Deacon was also not able to play last week, and I think that had a large part to do to Michigan State's loss. You know, she's a key player in the center of the field. She controls a lot of the play coming out of that. And I know that even if Jamie Deacon was playing, Michigan was looking to shut Jamie Deacon down from that center position.
Spartans with the ball at midfield. Now good takeaway there right in the middle, as Michigan State's Jamie Deacon lost it there. Deacon will get it back though on that far side. Again, that physical play that you alluded to. And you can bet that Michigan State may have to maybe just figure out a way to work a little bit harder to keep control there. And you can see Deacon's doing her job.
Shoulders, elbows, knees, sticks. I mean, you have all the necessities to get a little aggressive.
And certainly you're going to take some bumps here in the Big Ten, and a game as important as this one only ratchets up the intensity. Spartans bring it towards the circle on that far side. And the clock continues with Iowa and Michigan State winding down this first half. Spartans will bring it just outside the circle, drive towards the net, ball loose. Let's see if the Spartans can get a good chance. It trickles out of the circle, and the Hawkeyes give chase to it there. But still good pressure on by Michigan State. Reitma comes away with it, now loses it. And Iowa really can't just find any space to pass out of.
It was a great free hit that Michigan State took coming into the circle. They're looking for a deflection, and their deception over the ball is a really nice part of their game that I enjoy watching. You don't really know where it's going or the direction or intention that they have for the pass.
Ball loose at midfield. Hawkeyes get a beat on it. That's Katie Naughton's the one who has control of it now. Good chase and effort by her to get the Hawkeyes with it, but Michigan State turns it the other way now here for Reitma. Reitma advancing ahead there. Good chance for Michigan State. Spartans with Steinmetz, who advances in the circle. Now it comes back out. The Hawkeyes again taking care of business taking care of business inside the 25 for them, Kara.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the same sort of mentality that Michigan State has, and you really want to execute and capitalize on opportunities that you have inside the 25. Because as we've seen, they don't come very often in some games. But the speed at which they play inside the 25, I think, is an exceptional part of their game. And they have really aggressive, fast, or excuse me, not speed fast, but fast-paced passing and skills inside the 25, as we just saw.
Great attack there by Iowa. And the Hawkeyes will set up now for another good scoring chance. The Hawkeyes just outside the circle. They drive it in, but Michigan State will take over now. And the Spartans send it over on the near side here. Up here for Reitma. Reitma loses it off her stick to Trisha Dean. Now Dean advancing through one Spartan player. She's all smiles now, and why not? Hawkeyes up 2-0 on the road here at Michigan State.
Trisha Jean is really a great story as well. Like, you know, we said earlier, she's the verbal commander on our team, but she also leads her team in assists, and that just goes to show the vital player that she is, setting up her teammates, you know, keeping the ball inside the 25, the speed at which she does it, but, you know, making her teammates look good.
Field hockey continuing here late in the first half for Michigan and Michigan State, along with Carol Lentz, Andrea Gutowski, and the Hawkeyes, not surprisingly, but certainly a good road effort so far. As you can see that scoreboard, them leading 2-0 on a game that could have some big-time implications as the rest of the Big Ten plays out, with Iowa in the road black jerseys, Spartans in the home green and white. And again, most of the good scoring chances for Michigan State came very early in this half, Carol. And now Iowa is certainly in the right position with the 2-goal lead, but those 2 goals not fluky at all. They've played hard and played well enough to put themselves in good scoring chances.
And it's capitalizing opportunities that you're offered in a game. And there's only been 2 corners for each team in this half, and they both have 3 shots. And, you know, we mentioned earlier how both of these teams lead the conference in several different scoring categories, although the stats at this point don't really reflect such. But I think we're going to start to see a different game and maybe more opportunities happening in the second half. But a lot of this game has also been decided between the 25s as well. Gaining momentum and possession is really decided in between those 2 yard lines.
So the Spartans need a push here in the last 3.5 minutes here, and they need something positive to build on going towards halftime, because that's certainly not going to be a very fun meeting with Michigan State if they don't get some more offensive push in this first half. Spartans have control of it on the far side, though, but the Hawkeyes clog things up in the middle and take that ball away. Good pressure there from Katie Naughton to slow down that Spartan attack.
She is an aggressive forward, and it's the mentality where as you lose the ball, you get the ball back, and she does a great job of back tackling. You know, even though she got a foul called against her, and therefore a card in return, as we see now, she stopped the play. You know, and that's helping her defense out.
The coach has got to have players who are mentally in the game. A lot of players, or some players, may kind of lose their focus. Ball's taken away, and the ball goes the other way a few yards downfield. You got to get your jets back on and get back downfield and try and get that ball back. And you can see Iowa continues to plug away at it.
And that type of effort is contagious. It's that little spark, or that little, you know, spurt of aggression that really gets a team going at times. You know, sometimes you need that.
So a whistle before that ball comes into play here.
And the opposing team has to be 5 yards away from a free hit. Someone on the same team can only be 1 yard.
Michigan State's head coach here, Rolf Van de Kerkhoff, again played just about every position on the field, including goalies. So you have to imagine that that kind of experience at all those positions really helps him understand what he wants his team to accomplish.
That's certainly true. He's done a great job with the program since Michelle Madison went to UVA. But another thing that Rolf brings is his personal international experience as a Dutch player. And, you know, when you see all these Dutch girls on the team, he goes back. He goes back to Holland and recruits and talks to these kids, because he knows where to find good field hockey players. Playing in the U.S. at a Big Ten university is a fantastic opportunity for most people. And so these international girls are able to come over here and get a degree. And a lot of these girls actually want to pursue international business, any type of international relations.
His last year as a competitive field hockey player was in 1999, so he's not so far removed that he's out of touch by any stretch of the imagination.
And he was actually my coach when I played on the U16 national team back in 2001, and we traveled over to Holland. And if we didn't have a translator there, I just...
Your Dutch is not up to speed, apparently.
We went to a clog factory in Holland, and, you know, it was in the farmlands of Holland, so Dutch was the only language that they spoke, and thank goodness we had Rolf there. But it was really a fantastic experience for someone from the homeland that was our coach to entertain us there.
He's a great ambassador for field hockey here at Michigan State, but Might give some of that back if he could get a goal or two here on Iowa. Hawkeyes dangerous. They bring it in the circle and center it now. Drive there and a good stick save by MSU. Spartans get right on it and clear it out of danger. Now a good pass long ahead for Ashante Miller. Miller taking off the ball there as we wind down to the end of this first half. And the Hawkeyes will head to that locker room in a definite feel-good mode, leading 2-0 here on Michigan State in East Lansing. Tracy Grisbaum and the Hawkeyes with goals from Blom and Ellis in half number 1. And the Hawkeyes are halfway to a big-time road win here in East Lansing. We're coming up with halftime in just a moment. It's the Hawkeyes and the Spartans with Iowa leading at the break here over Michigan State by a score of 2-0. Back here in East Lansing, the Hawkeyes with the 2 goals in that first half. And Michigan State's now playing from behind, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, is it, Kara?
Not at all. They've outscored their opponents 34-10 in the second half. And we also gave you a little stat in the first half that Iowa outscored their opponents 25-6 in the first half. So that goes to show that these teams show up at different points in the game. And at this point, it's an advantage for Michigan State in a way because they know that they can perform in the second half.
So the team switching sides here in half number 2. And we'll talk about corrections Michigan State has to make in a minute. Spartans dangerous here in the circle to start this second half. So, Kara, let's talk about what you think the Spartans have to revamp here as they are trailing now 2-0 starting this second half.
Well, I think they just need to finish. I mean, they have the opportunities. They're in the circle. They're in the 25. Jamie Deacon's had some exceptional balls up to the forward line, and they just need to care of the ball once they get it. You know, and I think Rolf may have mentioned that at halftime in the circle, but
good chance for Michigan State. That ball comes in high, still in the circle, and now it trickles out, so Iowa takes over there. Here's the look back as the Spartans get set, and a glove save. You don't see that very often, but Munley was right there to keep it down for Iowa.
And Jamie Deacon was that one taking the free hit, and like I said, she finds her players so well in the circle. And that deflection came off of one of her teammates.
Deacon with 27 points on the year for the Spartans, 9 goals to go along with 9 assists, so there is plenty of offense generated by her for this Michigan State team. Hawkeyes with that back pass deep in their zone. They move it up here, that's Biemsdorfer. Big 1v1 battle with Amanda Huck, the sophomore midfielder for Michigan State. Hawkeyes take it side in. Michigan State with control at midfield. Now they'll send it up the near wing. That's Reitma, who gets challenged by Biemsdorfer.
Iowa has very aggressive outside defenders. Megan Biemsdorfer is a very, very aggressive defender. She gets her stick in her body in, you know, like we see here, any way possible. And especially when you have a skilled player like Flor Reitma, it's really critical that you have players that are able to body up on opposing players like that.
Michigan State setting up outside the circle. And nice take off the stick for Jean. Losing it there as it'll be a side in now for Iowa.
Caitlin McCurdy did a great job with stealing the ball away from Jamie Deacon. Looks so easy, doesn't it?
But it's not so easy.
It is not easy at all, especially when you're playing against a player that has exceptional personal, individual skill over the ball.
Ball tangled up, now it comes loose. Michigan State with Flor Reitma. Puts a body there on Roz Ellis. Ellis, one of the goal scorers in that first half for Iowa. With Michigan State setting up.
And at this point, the ref is calling a corner for Michigan State. And what you see, even though the foul didn't happen inside the circle, what you see happen if that a team is starting to get a little too aggressive or a lot of fouls happening inside the 25, especially with inside the dotted line, they're going to give that team an offensive corner.
So Michigan State, the corner opportunity as they go on the attack here, trailing 2-0 to Iowa. early in this second half. Miller will put the pass in at the top of the circle. Spartans moving it towards the net, but can they get a shot away? Big chance by Michigan State, with Munley coming out of the net, and the Hawkeyes dodge the bullet.
What a great breakout. That one pass went 40 yards up the field as soon as the defense was able to get it out. Excellent, excellent.
Hawkeyes dangerous there. Nice slide save there by Alyssa Unger. And you can see that, boy, the Hawkeyes have done a good job of taking a defensive stop and turning it quickly into an offensive opportunity.
Absolutely.
Unger had to stretch out there to make that save, and Iowa will now give it to Michigan State, side in on that far side in front of that Hawkeye bench.
And that's how Caroline Blom scored on that first goal. Iowa's able to set up quickly coming out of their defensive end, get it through the midfield and find the forward line and inside the circle and get a shot off. And I would say that goal probably happened with under 6 seconds from the time of the free hit.
Rayner drives it straight up field, but it's the Hawkeyes that will put it side in from midfield. They back pass using all that space. Iowa the 2-0 advantage. Both goals scored in the first half. Michigan State will have to make a little bit harder push offensively, and the Spartans will have to defend their goal now with the Hawkeyes trying to advance into the circle. Ball on that end line, and the Hawkeyes will send it in from the corner.
Iowa does a really great job of passing their way to good field positioning inside their 25, and now they have a side hit on the sideline there.
That was Beamsdorfer who put it in. Spartans force it out of the circle, but a whistle and some contact. Get ready for another critical conference field hockey matchup. Iowa hosting Michigan. Remember, it's starting at 3 p.m. Eastern next Sunday. That's November 2nd, only on the Big Ten Network. So the Hawkeyes will be back home for that one, but they've got their sights set on a road win at the expense of Michigan State today. Hawkeyes with Caroline Blom set to put it in. She sends it towards center. Hawkeyes work with it in space, drive towards the net. Loose ball, not covered there by Alyssa Unger, but it skips through the circle and not touched. So Spartans will get a chance to set up their offense, but they're deep in their own zone. They send it up, far side, taken away there. Hawkeyes have ball control. Now Michigan State turns it the other way. Let's see if the Spartans can create an opportunity for themselves here. Figueroa drives it up that far wing. And the Hawkeyes will set up just outside the circle. There's Figueroa, take away again. Now Michigan State on the attack towards the circle. Ball bouncing loose, and good opportunity for the Spartans there.
Michigan State really needs to come up successful anytime they get inside their 25, and the more corners they get, the better off that this team is going to be. They have such an offensive and threatening battery at the top. You have Jamie Deacon, you have Flor Reitma, Gwen Riley's up there, Geraldine Rayner. So this is an offensive corner that you don't want to face very often as a defender. Here's the attack for Michigan State. Spartans wind up, hard shot, and a rebound opportunity. Spartans knock it just wide. Good traffic in front of the net. Alyssa Munley had some support there. You saw her go down on the turf to make that initial save. Unfortunately, the Iowa defenders were able to avoid a rebound opportunity. Well, Michigan State has scored on a goal like this before with the ball going out to Jamie Deacon, so it's quite an effective one. But what a great stance and effort by Alyssa Munley. And Roz Ellis was the defender who was able to clear that ball out of the circle for Iowa. She caps that off with the goal that she had in the first half of this game. Hawkeyes still leading 2-0. Out of time for Michigan State, but they have been stymied so far by the Hawkeyes on both sides of the field. That ball skips out in front of the Michigan State bench. And the Hawkeyes will take over there on that far side. Ball controlled at midfield by Michigan State. Pagura up the far wing by herself. Tries to force it in the center, and Iowa gets a stick in there to take it away.
Good physical battle there right in front of that Michigan State bench, and it's the Hawkeyes who will have possession of this ball in the middle.
There's a card there being awarded. I shouldn't say awarded. I should be given to Gwen Riley. She's one of the seniors on the team, and her play this year has really been outstanding. And as she goes, her team goes as well. And she has a lot of players contributing from the juniors and the sophomore class. And that's a big difference between these two teams. Is that Iowa has a large senior class. 6 of their 11 starters are seniors. And they've been playing together for 3 years. They've had a small team that's really built up, but this team has been playing together for a while.
Again, by Michigan State standards, the Spartans, with a relatively young team, only 3 seniors on this Michigan State class. So the Spartans have a total of 15 sophomores and freshmen combined. So there's a lot of youth that is being tested early here for Rolf Vander Kerkhoff's team here at Michigan State. Hard drive there, and there's your goal for Michigan State. The hard drive from the top of the circle, Jamie Deacon delivering with a hammer hit for the goal.
Wow, that's what we call a reverse chip, and you could barely even see the ball go into that. What a great goal by Jamie Deacon. This is why she's one of the premier players in the conference, and she makes it look so easy, sets it up, whips it around. I don't think even Lisa Munley had a chance in saving that ball.
You know, look at how she has to keep turning her body around. It wasn't like she just had a chance to set and tee it up. She had to keep twisting, but a great chance for Michigan State. Spartans cash in, and the MSU bench is a lot more lively now than it was a couple of minutes ago.
And that's exactly what Michigan State needed at this point in the game. They were really putting the pressure on the first half, sporadically towards later in the first half, but now is when they need to step it up. The floodgates are now open after getting that first goal. We're going to see a lot more scoring opportunities for Michigan State, and it's all spearheaded by Jamie Deacon. She's really been stepping up this year, and, you know, example A.
Absent last week against Michigan, but welcome back with Jamie Deacon getting her 10th goal of the year. Let's take a look back at this goal again from its side angle.
It's one of the hardest things to pull off in field hockey. He's doing the reverse chip, and she does it so effortlessly and with relatively a small amount of time.
What's tough for Lisa Munley in that situation is you don't expect a shot coming from that direction, and you can see she was really towards the wrong side of the goal.
Well, the thing about the reverse chip, you don't know where it's going in regards to position of the net. Also, you don't know at what height the ball is going to be coming at. That's one of the things of the reverse chip. It's really effective as a forward because it's so unpredictable. As you have a forehand hit, it's a little more predictable depending on how deceptive the player is, of course, but the reverse chip is so lethal if you can pull it off.
So momentum now for Michigan State, but they're still down a goal here against Iowa. This is going to make things very interesting down the stretch here at Michigan State. Spartans with that ball deep in their zone. The Hawkeyes putting some pressure on, and a hard hit there put on Jamie Deacon, but she's able to clear it upfield. Michigan State at center field. That's Amanda Huck, the sophomore. Drives it up ahead. Spartans have some numbers, but can they control the ball as they take it into the circle? No. Michigan State, though, with some contact, and now Gwen Riley gets bumped a little bit. Looks like Michigan State's going to have a good chance to set up their attack. And there's Jamie Deacon again outside the circle. But the Spartans, she drives it in, ball tipped and almost tapped on the second hit into the net, but you could see that Shantae Miller couldn't quite get the stick on it as the ball came back a little too fast.
Great vision by Jamie Deacon, so deceptive over the ball, and she also finds that stick of one of her teammates inside the circle, and she's such an incredible player with executing a free hit outside.
So Michigan State finding their rhythm on offense. And again, the goal just scored by Jamie Deacon has cut the Iowa lead in half. And let's get our look at saves with the defensive efforts by these goalies.
Both teams have such effective offensive corners, but their defensive corners are just as good. These are two of the standout goalies in the conference so far, and it really shows today that they've been stepping up perfectly, and that they have great positioning when they're on the ground, especially on the corners.
Again, Lisa Munley in goal for Iowa. Michigan State with Alyssa Unger. So these two goalies, you can see the number of saves there for each goalie.
Alyssa Munley has 4 saves so far, but that just goes to show how many opportunities and chances Michigan State has been getting on the flip side on the offensive end against her. And it's just a matter if those defensive saves can really stand through the rest of the half.
Good pressure by Michigan State. Spartans have a takeaway near midfield. They will regroup and reset their offense. Ball skips off a Spartan stick. MSU regains control, though, and sends it, well, not up the side as the Hawkeyes turn it the other way. Ball coming back toward midfield. Hawkeyes get the side in over there, right in front of their own bench. Very important, too, for Iowa. You know, they're not going to sit back on a 2-0 lead. That isn't 2-0 right now, but Tracy Grisbaum certainly a little bit anxious now because that's some offense is going to have to come for Iowa sooner than later.
And Michigan State brings their best game in the second half. That's got to be a threat as if you're a player on Iowa to prevent that from happening. And once Michigan State gets into a groove and gets a momentum going, it is all the more difficult to stop them.
There you go. Good job, Stan.
Ball controlled by Michigan State, siding for the Spartans. And the ball is controlled by Fleur Whitmer for Michigan State, who will says siding over there. Ball into the circle, taken by the Hawkeyes. Good coverage there by Iowa. Hawkeyes drive it way ahead, intended for Iowa as Sarah Pergine was after it, but ball skips through the end line. Again, a long pass that was a little too long.
Even though the pass wasn't received by anybody up on the forward line or the midfield line, what it did is that it got the pressure off the defense. They get a little bit of a breather now because they've been facing a hard Michigan State offense so far in this half. And even if nobody receives it up in the line there, you want to be able to reset your defense, get the ball in a different position on the field where you can reassess and reset.
Geraldine Rayner sends it in for Michigan State. Spartans cautiously moving it. Now a hard drive up the line, and the ball skips out. Find more Big Ten field hockey stats at BigTenNetwork.com. It's the ultimate destination for all of your Big Ten field hockey statistics. A good way to keep tabs on who is where in the Big Ten standings, which will change from week to week for the teams that are playing Big Ten field hockey. And Iowa on the attack there. Good ball control there to come right into the circle. Spartans have to play right back at the net. Ball still loose in front. And finally, Unger has to collapse and cover that ball up, but Iowa continues to take it upfield here. Look at this replay.
Great ball handling by Trisha Dean. Finds a player on the end line, and Iowa's just trying to get any little chance they can to get the ball in the net, and a little something else after the play.
Pretty close. As the clock is stopped here on the field in East Lansing as Michigan State and Iowa. The Hawkeyes, the 2 first-half goals. Jamie Deacon, the second-half goal for Michigan State. So officials getting things set on the field now. And the Spartans will see if they can advance the ball out of their own zone.
And that was the 3rd card that we've seen given in this game. And that goes to show the physical play that's going on today, which is typical of any Big Ten game, especially now because there's so much riding in both of these teams.
Spartans resetting. Again, a slow attack for Michigan State. Now a hard drive up the far side by Joelle Van Eerling. The Hawkeyes will take control. Michigan State on the side end. And they advance the ball a little bit up that far side. Now Iowa gets it back. Hawkeyes quick to move on the ball. Whistle. And the Hawkeyes in good position there.
Iowa's in great position, especially now as they're entering the final 19 minutes of this half. But what Rolf said yesterday that part of their success in this game is to start building from the defense up. And that starts with the free hit that we're about to see coming out of the 25 and out of their 16. How they build their attack from this point is really vital to how they can execute the game.
Ball comes near side for Michigan State, intended for Rayner, but that pass way behind her, and she can't catch up to it. So the Hawkeyes will take it side in with Caroline Blom. Blom in that corner. Now comes back to her, and she's got some space to work it. She carries it into the circle. Tapped away, ball loose. Spartans cover it there. Good heads-up play by Deacon. Spartans on the money on defense there. Not a good drive by Gwen Riley. Ball skipped off her stick towards midfield, and the Hawkeyes get it there. We are coming back with more second-half action between Michigan State and Iowa. The Hawkeyes leading in field hockey against the Spartans. More after this. There's Tracy Grishbaum, the head coach for the Iowa Hawkeyes, and right now she's in pretty good spirits. Talking with us earlier this week, talking about her attitude that she brought as a player, and does her team have that same attitude right now? Some of them do, and that's the kind of attitude she wants that everybody to have on this Iowa team.
Absolutely, and Roz Ellis, I think, certainly has that attitude on the back line. She's a very physical player. Absolutely, the don't mess with me, known for playing against her and with her some regional summer teams. But, you know, that's the personality that you want your defense to have. You want to have a tough-nosed defense. You know, that's your last line of defense. You need players that are really strong physically, that verbally, and just have that composure that the team feeds off of.
And the added pressure for Tracy this week is trying to devote some time to the World Series and her beloved Phillies, as they are battling the Rays, of course. But obviously, the business right now at hand is to take care of Michigan State, as a Spartan player slowed up a little bit. You saw that hit there. And looks like a neck injury. So you can see that Joelle Van Eerland, the sophomore, I don't know if she took an elbow in the neck or a stick, but let's take a look and see where this contact came from.
Looks as though she got a shoulder.
Shoulder in the neck. Well, there's a lot of different body parts to hit. And these players seem to find about all of them to make contact with in the course of a given game. Ball comes out. And again, Iowa, the 2 first-half goals. Now the ball comes in the circle. Dangerous there. Spartans try to get on it and clear it. The Hawkeyes, the 2 first-half goals from Caroline Blum and Roz Ellis. Michigan State with the Jamie Deacon score in this second half. We are at Michigan State, the Ralph Young Field, with field hockey for today's game. Dan Gutowski and Carol Lentz. It has been overcast and cool today, but no heavy rain. And you can see the team colors, the Hawkeyes in the road black jerseys. Michigan State wearing the green and white this afternoon. Ball at midfield for the Spartans. See if they can advance a little closer towards the Geraldine Rayner, losing it at midfield. Whitemore putting some pressure on the ball for Michigan State, but the Hawkeyes take it towards the far side of midfield. Ball tapped outside in now for Iowa.
Iowa does a really great job of working it from sideline to sideline. You saw the little 2-touch game that they execute in transferring the ball. Even if they're not going to go around for the backfield transfer, they're able to do it through their midfield play as well, which is a part of their team that separates them from other teams in the Big Ten. But they're able to just transfer that ball through every single line, the defense, the midfield, and the forwards.
Ball just outside the circle for Michigan State. Spartans clear it out. Long drive ahead, but a little bit wide and out of play. It's 30 minutes dedicated to the world of Big Ten women's athletics, the kind of coverage you just cannot get anywhere else. The Big Ten Women's Show, Monday at 7:30 Eastern on the Big Ten Network.
You know, Tracy also, the players that she picked out are seniors on the team, and she has grown relationships with them, and you know, really is invested in making their student-athlete life all the worthwhile. And that's on the field, and that's off the field as well. Being a student of the field hockey game is definitely a big part of her philosophy and coaching. So these players really grow in all areas as Big Ten students.
Spartans go on the attack there with Michelle Siliberti with some good pressure there. The Spartans will set up outside the circle. And again, with only about 15 minutes left to go before the end of this second half, the Spartans have to maximize every scoring opportunity. Hawkeyes clear it out there, so it's a side in for Michigan State. Spartans force it in. Rayner into that corner. Now they try to go in the circle. Whitemore goes on the ball, but can't control it for Michigan State. Iowa takes it out of the circle, and the Hawkeyes will set up.
This is a different Iowa team that we've seen since that timeout was called halfway through the second half, and they're a lot more aggressive now and assertive at this point in the half. But it's really important that they get a security goal at this point to feel a little more comfortable, although I don't think that's going to be possible to feel totally at ease with these two teams facing each other. But they really need to seek an opportunity inside the 25, get that security goal, have a 2-goal lead as opposed to one.
Hawkeyes taking their time on the side. Now the puck bouncing off the stick in the circle. Good chance for Michigan State. That ball hit a little bit too hard, and for the Spartans, that was Glenn Riley, the senior forward, who got after it. And here's the Spartans. Let's see if they can capitalize on this with Rayner on the near side. Ball in the circle, but the Spartans can't quite get a handle on it. Now they do. This continues to be a good opportunity for Michigan State. Spartans plugging away. Here's that side in that was a little bit too hard for the Hawkeyes to handle.
You know, I'm not sure if that was a very smart decision either. I mean, there's 15 minutes left. Transferring fields is not the best thing to do at this point in the game, because when you're transferring fields, you have these long balls that could easily be intercepted by a Michigan State forward. You know, when I was playing, we were taught with time management, with certain time left in the clock, don't change the fields. Keep the ball on one side of the field. You have less likely chance of somebody intercepting it in a dangerous area being at the top of the circle.
Spartans with control at midfield. Rayner. Short drive ahead, intended for Reitman. Reitman takes control and now tries to force her through. And the Spartans set up. Hard drive there and a tap. Possible rebound chance for Michigan State. And what about the Spartans now? As they will set up for the corner. Still plenty of time in this game, so the Spartans with the 2-0 deficit after one half, but they have cashed in on an earlier corner chance, and they'll try and do the same here. Shante Miller will pull the trigger for Michigan State. At the top of the circle, they set for Rayner. Now down low, nice hard shot, and there's your goal for Michigan State. The Spartans do it again.
What a tricky play. There are a lot of different elements in that. It's kind of a creative one that we've seen so far in the game, definitely so far this season. But the ball is taken up outside. Now it looks like Jamie Deacon is going to get that initial shot, but she actually got the second shot off another stick stop. And just a great way to finish it. They've had opportunities, like I said, all game. It's just a matter of finishing. And finally they were able to do it, find a nice little pop over the goalie into the back of the net.
Laura Reitman, your goal scorer for Michigan State, her 14th of the year. Could not have come at a better time. This game back even at 2. And we're set for a big finish now at Michigan State. Deacon gets the assist to Laura Reitman. We'll take another look at that goal in just a moment. But momentum, such a precarious thing in any sport for any team. And the Spartans are taking advantage of their corners here against Iowa. Play continuing for the Hawkeyes. See what they can do now with that ball trickling in the circle, and it now goes through the end line. Here's another look at that goal.
Shante Miller does a nice job of getting the pace up on the ball. And then so much creativity went into that corner. That's all Ralph's making, but Laura Reitman was right there to put the ball in the net. And she is actually tied second in the conference in goals with Caitlin McCurdy of Iowa, one of their forwards, and Linda Hausner is leading the conference so far. But Laura Reitman is, going to generate something every game, and it's just a matter of time before she puts the ball in the back of the net. But she was just there waiting for that ball and found little opportunity that she could to capitalize on it.
Now the Hawkeyes with a chance of their own for a corner. And the Hawkeyes will see what kind of pressure they can bring to Michigan State right now. As they send it in, ball at the top of the circle. Hard drive, and there's your Iowa goal. The Hawkeyes are back up 1. Nothing flashy about that. The Hawkeyes, the strong drive from the top of the circle. And I think that was Lauren Pfeiffer who got the score for Iowa. That was her.
I mean, look at the speed at which they were able to execute that and get the shot off. Lauren Pfeiffer just gets one little one-touch, gets it outside the circle, back in. As soon as that ball enters the circle, she fires it. She has such a nose for the net, and especially all coming off the corners. It was her go-to play last year, scoring off those corners, and she's definitely bringing that momentum into this season.
Well, as this game starts to wind down, both teams ratcheting up the intensity a little bit as the Hawkeyes have reclaimed the lead. There's a drive and a kick save by Munley for Iowa. Not a dangerous shot there, but the bottom line is the Spartans have pressure, but Iowa will take the side in.
When we were talking earlier about the number of seniors on this team, Lauren Pfeiffer's one of them, and she's been in situations where they've, been down a goal or leading by a goal, and she understands that they need, some extra oomph in their game. And this is a team and a class that's been working together for such a long time and knows how to go through those situations in a game and know how crucial it is to capitalize on the corners that they have, especially in a game like this. You don't know how many you're going to have because the other corner is so tough.
Iowa carries towards midfield. Now the Spartans will get a chance to send it up that far wing, intended for Michigan State's Michelle Ciliberti, but he couldn't quite chase it down. But the Hawkeyes will take it in front of that Michigan State bench.
And this is the part in a game where there's going to be a crucial element of time management on Iowa's part. And not switching the fields, keeping the ball on the sideline, keeping possession of the ball is really critical if they want to come out on top.
Spartans trying to advance towards the circle, but some bad ball handling. The ball's knocked away, but Michigan State will get a chance to regroup. And they send it in towards the circle. Here's a good chance for Miller. She'll drive and shoot and miss. Ball loose in front. Can Michigan State fire again on the doorstep? And this one goes out. What a great chance for Michigan State there. Ciliberti had the last chance at it, but it was Shantae Miller.
What a great save by Alyssa Munley. She came right out. She knows how threatening Shantae Miller is. Close that space between yourself and the goal. She just had a great diving effort, covering as much of the goal mouth as she can.
You know, the padding is so big, I would think, for goalies, Kara, that it's hard to control that ball. Maybe unlike hockey, where the puck is smaller and your equipment's not quite as good, you can make those glove saves. Not so easy when you're so bulked up as a goalie in field hockey.
You know, it's actually surprising how flexible that equipment is, and it's come leaps and bounds as opposed to 30 years ago when they were literally playing with bamboo sticks as padding. But actually, the equipment that they have is relatively lightweight. It's flexible. It's a lot more flexible than goalie gear. You know, they have the shorts, they have the pads. They don't actually have anything in the back of their legs, and you find goalies have a few bumps and bruises on the backside of their legs. But it allows a certain type of aggression and athleticism in those athletes as compared to some other sports.
The Hawkeyes on the attack as they carry towards the top of the circle. Spartans step in defensively, though. Nice takeaway there by Geraldine Rayner. Hawkeyes were dangerous, but the Spartan defense stepped up there.
Great aggression there by Roz Ellis, trying to get the ball back as quickly as she can. They had good field positioning inside their 50, but they lost a bit. Just a great tackle back by Roz.
Rayner, good pressure to keep the ball moving towards the Iowa goal. And now the Hawkeyes will get a side-in opportunity.
And also you're going to see a little bit of a stall with Iowa taking free hits. You're talking about wearing down the clock. This is a place where you want to do. When you're setting up for a free hit or when you're going after a loose ball, take as much time as you can off the clock. And that can be a little frustrating to the opponent, but it's a crucial game plan that secures victories.
The Hawkeyes again giving up the 2-goal lead with the goals by Michigan State, with Reitma and Deacon scoring in the second half for MSU. But again, right now, the game-winning goal by Lauren Pfeiffer. It would be the game winner if it stands up. Play continuing in that far corner. Hawkeyes can't move into the circle. Spartans try and force it out. Some good pressure on the ball there. Long drive ahead. Jamie Deacon just fired it. And at midfield, it's the Michigan State Spartans with a chance to put it in play. And the Spartans will take a timeout here and figure out what they want to do to put that pressure on Iowa. So again, the goals in the second half, 2 of them from Michigan State, 1 from Iowa. Let's pick it up with the Spartans getting on the board here with Jamie Deacon.
The reverse chip, such an incredible shot to watch happen. Then off the offensive corner, Jamie Deacon again getting the shot and floor right there, finding an opening ball, getting the lift up, and then Lauren Pfeiffer just putting it away, trying to get an opportunity as they can and capitalizing on it, and really trying to secure their success they have in the second half.
Strategy-wise now for Michigan State, what is Rolf telling his team right now, Kara?
Well, you know, there's certain go-to players that you have on teams, and Jamie Deacon's one of them, Floor Reitma's one of them. You want to give them opportunities in the circle and within the 25. So when I played, you know, our coaches also had set plays, depending on what time there was on the clock, whether that's a free hit, coming off a free hit, you pass to so-and-so, you look for a pass here or hit here. So there are certain set plays that happen in field hockey that may not be as obvious to some viewers outside of the sport. He's talking about that. He's also talking about, you know, this is it. I mean, this is absolutely it. Our season's riding on this. Not completely riding it, but, you know, our Big Ten conference season is riding on this, and we have a lot to prove, and we know we can do it because we perform in the second half. They had their overtime win over Ohio last weekend, and, you know, just to make as many opportunities that they have successful.
So the Spartans and the Hawkeyes, we expected a close game, and that's exactly what has been delivered for the first half and most of the second half, as play is going to continue as the Spartans will break after this timeout. But still, again, with so much left, both of these teams trying to catch up to Penn State. You know, both teams, both coaches talked about earlier this week the significance of getting the wins against your in-conference opponents. That is just that's the pressure that's facing both of these teams right now.
And also Michigan State's performance so far in the second half. We talked to them outscoring their opponents 34-10 in the second half. So far this half, they've outscored Iowa 2-1, and they've outquartered them 3-1 as well. So, I mean, it just goes to show that Michigan State really shows up in the second half, and it's a team you can never, ever dismiss no matter the type of lead that you have at halftime.
Let's see what they execute here. Ball on that far side. That's Reitma with it. Ball taken off of her stick. And now the Spartans regroup. Driving it. Pass intercepted. But Michigan State still with ball control as they move towards the Iowa zone. What about that Iowa schedule? The Hawkeyes, again, at 2-2 in the conference. They've got a little bit of a bigger uphill battle coming.
Absolutely. They're facing Michigan next week on Sunday, and they're playing at home, which is an advantage for them, absolutely. But Michigan is the other team that's in this conference that kind of came out of nowhere as the season went on. They're 3-1 right now. They only have one loss, and they're playing Penn State tomorrow, which is a crucial game to the conference as a whole. But, you know, that's always a little bit more than just a conference match. There's also a lot of girls that have played together in high school and club teams, during regional teams. So all these teams feel like community is so small that it gets a little personal at times when you see some of these teams face each other.
Kingsdorfer on the side in for Iowa. Spartans pick it up at midfield. Nope, they don't. And Iowa will get a chance as the Spartans retreat a little bit deeper in midfield, and a long pass ahead there on the far side for Pagura, but Angela can't quite keep it in play, and the Hawkeyes will take that side in right in front of their own bench.
And they're going to take their time doing it, setting it up, trying to stall the game as much as possible.
All on that far side towards midfield. Spartans get a big takeaway there. Now MSU on the attack, and the Spartans keep it up. There's Deacon tapping ahead here for Amanda Huck. Huck on the near side, trying to advance it. Nice stick work there. Iowa gets a great takeaway with Megan Beamsdorfer forcing the ball down into that Michigan State zone. Spartans with Geraldine Rayner now.
And Megan Beamsdorfer also read that play really well. She saw the player coming down the sideline. As you see, she kind of cheats over the sideline to cover the line to Jamie Deacon. Excellent read play, excellent gameplay by Megan.
Spartans taking it in the corner. That's Shantae Miller. Good 1v1 battle there. And some contact, and Michigan State gets a chance to set up their offense. And they don't waste any time. They drive right into the circle. Spartans charging hard towards the net. And that's a chance for Michigan State. But there's let's get the replay on this.
Great free hit, taken quickly. And Michelle Siliberti, one of the captains, does a really great job of keeping her position and ball handling over it. And Roz Ellis was a little surprised at the call on that, but I mean, if I were the ref, I would personally call that a corner as well.
So here comes the corner opportunity for Michigan State. Spartans send it to the top of the circle. Deacon driving down low, ball loose in front, knocked away. Boy, that was dangerous for Iowa.
This is actually a stroke that is called, Dan. It's something that happens very rare. But essentially, the ball was going in the ball was essentially a goal. The ball that was hit was going into the net, and because it hit the body part of a player that was the last line of defense before the net, it is called a stroke. Something that we don't see very often. Actually, we saw it with Penn State, Iowa last year on the Big Ten Network that decided the game.
And so they turn to Jamie Deacon right now for Michigan State. Deacon with 10 goals on the year, including the one she already had today. So she is set to take the penalty shot right now. Steps in, shoots it high, and there's a goal for Michigan State.
What a great stroke by Jamie Deacon. It's such a fun skill and fun play to watch, even though it's not fun for the people involved sometimes. But finds the top of the net so well, and there's several different places that you can find the ball as a stroker, and she does such a great job of getting the height and the speed on the ball. But you know, as a goalie, it's almost like a guaranteed goal when somebody takes that stroke unless the ball goes outside of the net wide. But Jamie Deacon just did a really great job with finding the area of the net. And you know, it's a hard reaction time. You see it in soccer. I mean, goalies, when you get to a certain level, guess. You know, it's one of those guessing elements where you get skills of players at such a high caliber, it's almost unstoppable.
Jamie Deacon now with 11 goals, 2 today, and she went top shelf to tie this game at 3. Under 3 minutes to go here. Plenty of anticipation now. The Hawkeyes keep it in the top of the circle. There's a hard shot, but not hard enough to get past Alyssa Unger.
Great opportunity by Iowa. I mean, at the point the rate this game is going, we don't know if it's going to go overtime or it's going to be a last-second goal that's going to be decided.
Well, both teams ready to contribute whatever they have to get that ball in the back of the net now. The Spartans with 3 second-half goals, and they've tied this game. There's a loose ball. Quick save, but kept in by Iowa. The Hawkeyes now lose it out to Flo Reitman. Reitman battling her way through 2 defenders. And the Hawkeyes, a penalty on Iowa. You could bet the Hawkeyes aren't happy about that, but here's the explanation there given to Caroline Blom.
Yeah, there was a little bit of an obstruction. I don't know whether that was a stick obstruction or something that Caroline Blom was seeing there. But, you know, Iowa's a really aggressive team, especially when in a moment like this where it's tied with a few minutes left to go. And I think that's the 4th part we've seen tonight.
Very physical game, as you'd expect, and it's certainly when the stakes are this high. Again, both teams talking about letting it all hang out, emptying the bucket. That was Rolf van de Kerkhoff's phrase. And that is what both coaches imploring their teams to do right now. You've got to give that little bit extra with under 2 minutes to go, and we're tied at 3 between Michigan State and Iowa.
I mean, if we're looking to go into overtime, Michigan State has had their fair share of those games so far this season. They've had 3 overtime games, winning all of them. So this is a team adverse in that.
Spartans drive it ahead. Scylla Birdie carries it herself. And now she finally tries to give it up. That forward pass knocked away. Hawkeyes regroup on the far side. You see Iowa in control there. Ball skipping up and now out of play. We'll have a sign in for Michigan State coming up tonight. The season debut of ice hockey coming up on the Big Ten Network. Minnesota takes on Wisconsin in high def tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern, only on the Big Ten Network. Spartans drive it in. And ball free for Michigan State. Spartans on the attack towards the circle. There's Reitman, carries it in herself. She'll wind up, shoot high. Ball is loose and out of play.
Wow, what a shot by Reitman. What a save by Alyssa Munley.
She got the glove on it and had enough to force it out of play.
I thought that ball was going in, but what a great reaction and save by Alyssa with that glove.
It's always scary for a goalie when your head's kind of spinning around looking for the ball. Spartans come hard to the net again. This time they're dangerous, but the Hawkeyes carry it out of the circle. And a touch on the ball there for Michigan State. That was Scylla Birdie putting some pressure on. And again, we are just about 15 seconds away from overtime here in East Lansing. There's Deacon at midfield. And a whistle. Deacon will hurry it up, but he wants to get one more shot opportunity. It will not happen, though, and this game is going to overtime in East Lansing. Jamie Deacon, the hero right now for Michigan State. Her 2 second-half goals. And the last one tying this game at 3. So we get set for the 5-minute overtime between these two clubs that, again, so desperately want this game. Iowa a little bit frustrated. Their 2-0 halftime lead, Kara. They couldn't hold it. But Michigan State with the superior second-half effort.
Absolutely, and it all came from Jamie Deacon. You know, talk about leadership. Certainly does it through example, and Michigan State just know that they had that edge going into the second half, picked it up, outscored Iowa 3-1 in the second half, which is a trend that's been happening throughout the season.
Rolf van de Kerkhoff all smiles. His team has forced overtime. We're back with Iowa and Michigan State field hockey after this. This Saturday afternoon, a windy and blustery Saturday for Michigan State and Iowa, and we go to overtime now with this game tied at 3. And here's the way overtime unfolds in field hockey, Kara.
We have two 15-minute periods, and it's called sudden victory now, although they changed the terminology. Everybody knows it's sudden death, but first goal scores, wins, and then it's moved into penalty strokes after that, and we were able to see one today, so we definitely know if Jamie Deacon can make a penalty stroke.
And here's how we got to this overtime between Michigan State and Iowa. The goal started for the Hawkeyes in the first half. Caroline
Blum just able to get the shot off so quickly, and then coming off the corner, Roz Ellis with a little poke finds the back of the net.
That's all in the first half for Iowa. 2-0 at this point until Michigan State gets it rolling.
Jamie Deacon gets it rolling is what it's more like. She comes up with the goal there. And then Flora Reitma finds a loose ball right there off of an offensive corner, originally struck by Jamie Deacon. And then Lauren Pfeiffer answers very quickly for Iowa to get the game tied, or them leading. And then Jamie Deacon awarded a stroke after a foul was called against Iowa's defense to put the tie on.
And so we move to overtime. As really kind of hard to gauge, which team has momentum right now because of the way the goal scoring went in the second half. Iowa wasn't shut out by any stretch of the imagination, but certainly with Jamie Deacon back and making her presence felt for Michigan State. She was not playing for Michigan State last week when the Spartans lost at Michigan, but she is back with a vengeance today.
Well, like I said, Michigan State has been in overtime scenarios throughout the season, so they know that they can do it. And the 3 overtimes that they've been in, they've won. And the last one coming last weekend against Ohio University, where they really needed that win to get their momentum back throughout the season. So, I mean, they know that they can do it. And if you're talking about second half performance, Michigan State has performed in the second half throughout the season, and they're going to carry that over into the overtime. Iowa hasn't been in any overtime situations this year.
So this is new territory for the Hawkeyes. And again, this is so exciting for these players. This is what seasons can turn on, as the next goal here is going to really be a huge boost for whatever team gets it, is to try and work towards a strong finish down the rest of the Big Ten schedule. And play is underway here. Again, it's a 15-minute overtime period, but whoever scores first is the winner. Spartans with that ball deep in their own zone. Let's see if they can space out and get some thrust upfield. Sorry, go ahead.
Now you have to understand that both teams have played 70 minutes of field hockey already. That's a lot of running, and now you're going into 15-minute overtime. So when it comes to a game plan, you want to let the ball do the work. And certainly there's a lot of players on both these teams that have excellent individual skill, but you want to get that ball moving.
Iowa takes it in the corner there. That's Trisha Dean. Not much pressure on the ball. Spartans lay off her. And Iowa will set up there. Dean will put it in play. That's for Pfeiffer. They'll go in the circle, but the Spartans clear it out. Not so dangerous there. Joelle Van Eerlen tries to push it upfield on the near wing. Spartans lose it there. Madura couldn't control it. Iowa has it at midfield. Overtime in East Lansing for Michigan State and Iowa in field hockey this afternoon. Hawkeyes try to bring it towards the circle. And ball taken off the Iowa stick there. Nice defensive play by Angie Lucic. Sophomore can't get it past midfield. Though Shante Miller applying some good pressure on the ball, but the Hawkeyes move it up. Lauren Pfeiffer right in front of that Michigan State bench.
Well, Iowa certainly came out strong beginning of this overtime.
Great pass in, but the Hawkeyes can't control it once the ball falls into the circle. Now great take by Michigan State there. Nice run out for the Spartans as Angela Pagura carries it all the way past midfield. Spartans on the attack. There's Deacon. Back for Pagura. Let's see what she can do in the circle. She keeps it in. Now winds up and fires it towards center.
Great effort by Angela Pagura. You can see she's a little out of breath after sprinting probably almost 70 yards up the field. But what a threat. Jamie Deacon right there with the ball at the center of the circle, looking for a little pass there. But tremendous execution by Michigan State, and then coming fast on that counterattack. I think that's might be a little what it comes down to if it's not going to be off a corner.
A great touch by Deacon to get the ball back to Pagura. Now here's the opportunity for Michigan State as they attack, but the ball taken away at the top of the circle by the Hawkeyes. Good defensive presence there by Iowa. The Hawkeyes will attack as Whiteman puts some pressure on the ball. Whiteman going right up against Caroline Blom on that 1v1 battle, but as overtime continues here at Michigan State with Iowa and Michigan State. The Hawkeyes the 2-0 halftime lead, with Michigan State with the big surge. Tie this game and send it to overtime. Down low for Katie Naughton. Naughton advancing towards the circle. And now Michigan State will take advantage here.
At this point, there's 4 Michigan State players under the ball. So they're really working from their defensive back right now up to the top. But that corner earlier by Michigan State, Raza was talking about a don't mess with me attitude. Got the interception off the top of the circle. A really fantastic play by the defender.
Spartans have control on the far side. Joelle Van Eerland. Some pressure on the ball, but she eludes that Iowa defender, and now the drive ahead is taken away at midfield by the Hawkeyes. They advance the other way. They chase it down in that far corner. That's Blom. Tested by Deacon. Deacon with enough pressure to get the ball away from her, and Spartans try and advance it out.
Iowa really coming out strong now, and I think you can see a certain level of fitness in the difference between these two teams. Iowa's had a lot of aggressive play so far right now in overtime, and Michigan State responded with a corner, but I think it's obvious at this point the better fit team running-wise.
Play continues. Hard hit there. Boy, that is a hard hit there, and Deacon goes right down to the turf, and she is not quick to get up. And play is going to continue as she is still on the turf, and now the ball goes out of play, and Jamie Deacon is just really got her bell rung. Let's take a look at where this contact came from. You can see she was reaching down to get the ball, and Iowa with Roz Ellis.
It almost looked like Roz Ellis gave her a knee to the head there.
So Steinmetz comes on for Michigan State as Deacon tries to clear her head after that big-time collision. And Iowa sets up with their best chance perhaps so far in overtime against Michigan State. Ball in the circle. Spartans get a stick on it there. That was Whiteman. Now MSU just clears it out of harm's way. Not a good entry pass there by the Hawkeyes.
And the Hawkeyes also have depth. Tracy talked about this during our phone calls, Dan, about the depth in the starting 11. And there's only 7 players on the field right now, including a goalie. And when you talk about a depth in your starting 11, the people that you're going to sub in and substitute in and rotate in are the people that were playing or starting. So, you know, their team is very adverse in finding the depth and the players that can make it happen.
Hawkeye set up on that far side, outside the circle. In overtime, hard shot, ball loose in the center, and knocked away. That was a good chance by Iowa, but the Hawkeyes couldn't turn to get a good shot. But that was Jess Worley, the junior, who had the chance to try and chip it in. Spartans come back towards midfield. Let's see if MSU's got some offensive thrust here. Spartans take Amanda Huck with that ball up the far side. Try to send it down low, and ball knocked away by Iowa. So the Hawkeyes step into that passing lane. We are about halfway through our first overtime session with the Hawkeyes and Michigan State. Spartans will side in front of that Iowa bench. Leitma takes it, but not for long, but the Spartans get another chance.
This is something that Michigan State is very, very good in, is taking a set play, going inside the 25 to make something happen.
Hawkeyes turn the ball the other way at midfield. Through pass ahead, and the Spartans come out to get it. And Michigan State having troubles clearing it. You can see Joelle Van Eerland struggling to shake that Iowa defender. Now she does, and passes ahead for Shantae Miller.
Michigan State's really letting the ball do the work at this point, trying to get out of their defensive end by executing upside the sideline.
The drive, Miller drives that way up ahead, but it skips out, and the Hawkeyes will take the side in. It would be very smart in overtime. Talk about letting the ball do
in for the Hawkeyes, number 22,
let the ball do the work instead of your legs.
I mean, absolutely. You've done 70 minutes of running, and the midfield players have done the most running, and they run up to anywhere between 3 and 5 miles a game, probably more.
Ball in the corner. Now the Hawkeyes bring it towards the top of the circle. Spartan defense tries to collapse and take it away. There's a great defensive effort there by Michigan State. See who that player was. Angie Lusick was the one who took the ball out of the circle and got control for the Spartans. Tempo was slowed down a little bit in this overtime.
One of you two got to collapse. One of you step up.
Ball tapped ahead up that far side. Spartans trying to chase it in the corner, but couldn't catch up to it. MSU got a good effort there, a good run out by Michelle Siliberti, but Iowa will take control of the ball.
And Lauren Pfeiffer did a really fine job there of running with Michelle Siliberti, not touching the ball, because she knows if the ball goes out of bounds, they'll get a 16-yard hit, which is what they have just right there. So really smart play by Lauren Pfeiffer, just letting the ball run out of bounds.
Ball at midfield for the Hawkeyes. Yeah, this is Iowa's first overtime game this year. We can see that she is the catalyst for a lot of offense for Iowa. Ball comes down here for Trisha Dean. Dean's pass taken away by her counterpart, Angie Lusick.
In for Iowa, number 20, Caroline Blom.
And Lusick advancing it upfield for Shantae Miller, but Michigan State regrouping. Spartans looking for a good goal-scoring opportunity here. They haven't had so many in overtime. Iowa's been the team that's been most dangerous in this extra session. And the Hawkeyes will take the side in from in front of their own bench. And pass toward midfield. And Jamie Deacon is back in for Michigan State. So that's definitely a bonus for the Spartans. Caroline Blom with good numbers on the year for the Hawkeyes. See what the Spartans can do with Lusick being pestered.
And Blom's an interesting story. When she missed her sophomore year, she was redshirted because she tore her ACL, surgery and everything, wasn't able to get back enough time, so they decided to redshirt her.
Good save. And the ball advanced nicely to midfield by Iowa. Let's see what the Hawkeyes can do here. There's Worley trying to get through traffic. Now here's a good chance. The ball is in the circle. Good kick save for Michigan State. Unger had to come out to get it. The Hawkeyes were putting some good pressure in the circle.
What a great aggression by Unger. She knows how these Iowa forwards can get a little testy and feisty inside the circle, so that was a great step up by her. Read the play really well, just moving the ball outside over the sideline.
Hawkeyes carry it into that circle on the far side. A lot of traffic in front of the net, and there's the overtime goal for Iowa. The Hawkeyes carry it in from the far side. And looks like Lauren Pfeiffer is the goal scorer and the winner for Iowa.
What an exhausting game. I mean, you talk about change in momentums, change in playing patterns, but Michigan State definitely dominated in the second half. They're used to executing in overtime, but Iowa just was a better fit team, I believe, in this overtime play.
Here's how it looked from field level. Pfeiffer, the flip, not a good angle shot for Pfeiffer, and you saw Unger come way out to try and block it. But once she got around the corner there, and you can see her carry it in past a couple of defenders, and that is the winner for the Hawkeyes. A very impressive road win for the Iowa Hawkeyes and Tracy Grisbaum. A big win that could catapult them to hopefully a big finish as they head down the stretch. A victory for Iowa in overtime.